I was not incredulous. I was impressed.
Get started.
We have a injury update on just your team coming off the bye. Some of those key guys that, Tommy Hill, Vano, some of the other players.
Yeah, Vano kicked yesterday. Still day to day. I'd expect Tommy to have a chance to play this week. He was all set to play last week and actually ruptured the plantar fascia as he was running onto the field and after the tunnel walk. So, which is a good thing because when you rupture it, it's very painful. So it just comes, but it kind of alleviates the problem. So Tommy practiced all last week. So I'd assume Tommy has a chance to play. So other than that, I don't know if anyone's special, but I think we're pretty healthy.
What type of challenges does their offense, which has been riding pretty high, present for a defense?
I mean, well, they're leading the Big Ten in passing, and I believe they're close, if not the top in rushing. They're top 10 in the country in offense. They're top 10 in the country in defense. They're the only team that hasn't trailed all year. They've scored 80 points in the fourth quarter. So this is probably a top 10 football team we're facing, right? Just it's one of they started the season unranked, so they're not maybe getting the due that they're supposed to get, right? I mean, other people can lose to a bad team and they'll keep them in the top 10 because whatever they started in the top 10, or But Coach Cignetti's done an amazing job. Quarterback's absolutely fantastic. They got playmakers. They're good on special teams. It's a great team.
Kind of hallmark of the era, right? The transfer portal, NIL era, being able to take, I don't know how many it was, 10, 12 guys from his former school. Is this something we should just get used to in college football from here on out?
Yeah, everyone has to forget the logos and the names and just like, oh, well, this team's always been good or, whatever. I mean, Vanderbilt backs up a win against Alabama with a win over Kentucky, who's probably the best defense in the SEC, right? Because they've got a dynamic quarterback. I'm sure they have. I haven't really watched them, but I spent Saturday watching college football, and every game's starting to come down to the end. You're really starting to feel the impact of the 2-minute timeout, especially at the halves. People that play the middle eight right, have an advantage. And then your roster, your roster, how healthy you are, but yeah, I mean, you can have a really good team and all of a sudden lose them one year. I think in college football now, if you lose a coach to a better job or a different job, it can decimate your program. It can be a quick fix for another program. So there's a lot of things that are just different, and I think everyone's going to have to just kind of, like you said, just kind of get used to it.
And you could probably lean more on the transfer portal because, I think there's pretty good NIL support here, but you have chosen, I think, to build it a little bit more systematically, maybe more, slow cook it a little bit. Why is that just your global opinion of why you wanted to do it that way?
Well, I just don't believe in running kids off. We're still associated with a university, right? Like, I don't think that's what Nebraska wants. So, but again, like, if I was coming from another college, it would have been a little different, I just was coming from the NFL, so, But I'm not in any way, maybe I would do it differently now if I did it later. I mean, we did the portal pretty good this year, I think. Isaiah's been pretty good. Jamal's been good. I mean, we've done the right things. I just the teams that I want to be like, in terms of their records, recruit really well. And I think we can recruit really well. I think recruits are figuring out that, like, they can come here. And so I think our recruiting will get better and better and better. You just have to win. You have to win a little bit, right? And so, and you go back to this year, you guys asked me what my goals were. They were to be relevant. This is a relevant game. The next game's a relevant game. The game after that's they're all relevant, based upon what we've done the first 6 games. So, but yeah, I'm just not here to run kids off and get rid of kids. That's not my deal. There's a time and place for that, if a kid's not doing the right things. But I wanted to be their coach.
You mentioned early in the year, I think it was when you got ranked for the first time, that there was that whole hunter versus hunted mentality that your kids would have to get adjusted to. What kind of a sense do you get for the dynamic of that conversation going into this game, and how maybe it's a little bit flipped, if do you feel like it's flipped at all?
Yeah, I think coming out of that Illinois game, we learned a lot of very, very valuable lessons. I think we applied those versus Purdue and Rutgers in many ways. I thought we had the right attitude playing in those games. You're watching college football this week, and like every good game comes down to the last possession, like it's an NFL game. And so hopefully the last 2 weeks have gotten us used to that. This is a game though where we're facing. This is probably I try not to look at the lines and all that, but I'm pretty sure we're probably the underdog, right? So this is our guys' first time for doing that, right? So I much prefer that. I love turning on game day and seeing them all pick the other team. That's good for us, So it's just kind of who I am and who a lot of our guys are. We're not. We are who we are. So I think our guys, understand at this point, like, this is going to come down to football. We got to practice well, play well. Doesn't matter what music we listen to before the game. Doesn't matter what we wear. Doesn't matter all of that's fun. We're going to have to block and tackle and, again, make one more play. I mean, you watch the end of Ohio State, Oregon. What a great football game with two great teams. And with all the things they did all game, it just came down to like a couple things at the end, right? So just trying to get ourselves a little bit better this week to make one more play.
You said after the Illinois game that wasn't Nebraska defense. Your players echoed the same sentiment. What have you seen out of them now? Just 17 points the last two games. Big changes.
Yeah, they played a lot better. I think the biggest thing is, even to go back to Illinois, like it was a couple crucial mistakes in crucial times, and we didn't tackle at the level we wanted to. That's an outfit that went out there against Purdue this week and scored 55, 59 points. I mean, so Altmaier's an excellent quarterback. So globally, I mean, it probably wasn't terrible, but it just, we have a standard for the way we play. We can't, if the other team's better than us and they score, that's fine. But like the way the film looks, the way we hit, the way we contact, the way we get off blocks, the way we communicate should be better. And I thought on that night that was a tense defense that just wasn't quite playing to the level they were capable of. And had we known Tommy was hurt that badly, I think, maybe he doesn't play that first drive, But Tommy's such a team guy. He went out there and battled, and we adjusted. Sierra's done well since then.
I know at first the excitement was just Javen getting back on the field. How have you seen him do with the short runway he's had, sort of to jump back into taking on more snaps and all that goes with it?
Javen's done great. I mean, I think he played like 13 or 14 snaps. You guys probably know the numbers better than me, but the goal was like 10 to 15 snaps the first game. I think he played 25 or so the second game, roughly. This is a great game for him, to play in, because he's so athletic, freaky athletic, that he can play the run and the pass. And again, this is a really balanced offense that we're facing. The run game is well put together, and the backs are excellent. So hopefully Javen can give us 30, 35 snaps maybe this game.
After watching a lot of football on Saturday, how unpredictable does the Big Ten look right now? Just the way some of these games played out. I mean, Purdue with a backup quarterback almost beats Illinois, and obviously USC could have beat Penn State. I mean, there's a lot of things that played out that I'm guessing most people couldn't really have predicted.
Yeah, I think though, when you look at when they expanded the Big Ten to 18 teams and they brought in a team that played for the national championship last year, just think about that all of itself. Oregon, who Dan's done a great job, but even before him, Mario did a great job. They've been a 2-loss team for the in that range for the last 5 years. And they've been a great team for a while. Then you bring in a team of that USC that won 11 games 2 years ago, or whatever it was. You had to, you put the travel in. I mean, I talked a lot about the travel, and everyone kind of oh, I got you, Matt. Like the travel, the weather, like that was hard to throw the ball last week against Rutgers. That was 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, at least is what it said. It was hard. I think you're going to see a lot of unpredictability. It's like the NFL, right? You never know in the NFL who's a good year in college football moving forward is going to be like 8-4, 9-3. It's just what it is. It's why, there's a lot of teams that do really well, but they're not playing who we're playing. It's just a different league, right? And the Big Ten, the SEC they've just evolved, right? And then, so, you look at the statistics on traveling, multiple time zones, what that's doing to teams. I mean, I just think it's all really interesting. It's all about how healthy you are. There's not as many, take the game off games. You have to be ready to play every week, and people are battling. And again, now teams are losing on the last play of the game, right? I mean, Illinois has done a great job. Brett's done a great job. They've won 2 games in overtime, right? I mean, it's just kind of what the Big Ten's going to be, I think, moving forward. It's going to be like the NFL.
How do you sense that your team responded after the bye, rejuvenated, and just coming at a good time of the season halfway through to get a week off?
Well, we worked our tails off last week. Now we got better. All right, that's one thing. I got really proud of some of the young guys. Some of our young guys have improved at a high level. So I gave them one day where it was just them. Then we had 2 days where it was the vets too, and one day was a mix of the young guys, and then the last day was purely just the travel squad working versus scouts and the like. So we really worked. But I think to your point, like mentally, emotionally, right, the competitive stamina of, we face some pretty good teams. I mean, whether people think they are, we face some teams with 4 wins. So we've had to battle every week. We're not like just running away with the game and it's just an easy game. So the guys have had to show competitive stamina and they've had to grind. And I think we came at a good time. I was able to get away. The players were able to get away. Even if getaway means they sat in their dorm room and watched anime or whatever it is they watch nowadays. They got to have some time to themselves, and I thought everyone was in a pretty good mood this morning. Everyone looked out. We just practiced. It was excellent. So hopefully it benefits us, because we got 6 ball games left. We got 3 and then another bye, and this is as big a game as we've ever probably played in terms of the stakes and all the things that get people excited on the road. Ranked team, best offense probably that we faced. One of the best that we'll see. So I'm sure our guys are focused.
You had mentioned last year the first 2 games on the road, Minnesota, Colorado. Maybe some things took your team a little bit, rattled them a little because of the crowd and the noise. How maybe did you change prep going into this Indiana game, where the crowd's probably going to be as loud as it was at Minnesota and Colorado?
Yeah, I hate talking about last year because I'm embarrassed of it, but we were a huddle cadence team, right? And we switched this year to a clap to allow us to be louder on the road. Now we still have 2 false starts at Purdue. We're still not perfect. I mean, we're far from perfect. So you get down there in the goal line, and you're trying to run the power play on 4th and 1, and you're just kind of sitting there like hopefully no one false starts, or hopefully we don't get it. So I just think we were more prepared. We used crowd noise the whole camp. So I think the noise in and of itself is better, or preparation for that is better. And the team just didn't really know us or know, I mean, I think when you go on the road, if you have a team that actually really cares about each other, and if you have a team that really wants to see each other, be successful and is there for the team, then you have a chance to win on the road. I watched a lot of football. One thing about college football right now, there's a lot of guys out there, and the whole time they're playing for their personal brand. They could do something for the team. They could take a knee. They could step out of bounds. They could end the game. And instead it's all, watching college football is hard now. It's all trash talking and really excessive trash talking. It's you beat a team and you're waving goodbye at them, and Iowa did that to us last year. I mean, there's sometimes rivalries. I get it, but I don't want to see our team do that. I want to see our team walk out and if you watch me, I can shake their team's hand. I shake the players we game plan for. I shake their hand. And yes, I struggled a little bit with that this weekend watching college football. Like every time a guy makes a play, it's like he has to turn and tell the guy he made a play, and trust me, I'm all for a little trash talk, but there's a way to do it in a way that doesn't, disrespect the game and disrespect your opponent. Because truly playing against good teams allows you to show what you can do. Like you can't show what you can do when you play bad teams. You have to play good teams, and so Indiana gives us a chance to show us what we can do. But as much as anything else, I want us to respect the game, and I want us to respect, what it means to be a Nebraska Cornhusker. And I have a lot of respect for Coach Cignetti and his staff and their players, and so I'm hoping we play a certain way.
Hey, you guys showed that jumbo set last week against Rutgers with Liebentritt and Mazuka and a couple big tight ends. Obviously, you're limited in situations you can use that short yardage, but having success with that. Does it start to create some kind of a mentality or help you create a mentality that you want to extend to other areas of the run game here over the second half?
Yeah, it's a great question. I did like an extensive study of the run game, and some of the numbers are hurt a little bit by some of the sacks we've taken, and some of the numbers are helped by some of the speed sweeps. I try to take all that out. We just haven't had the explosive runs, if that makes sense. There's a lot of 4 and 5 yard runs, which you like, right? Keep you on track, but we haven't had the big runs. That 2-back power set, that's what I was known for at Temple. We were going to run that against you 15 times a game. You're going to have to deal with, I run that play. I get texts from 20 guys like, hey, yeah, we ran it the game before too. We ran it against Purdue on the goal line. We ran it against Rutgers. So, you do it enough, people, we line up and there's 10 people around you, so you're not going to have big hits. But I think the big thing for us as we move forward is just to really, really find some ways to get some long runs. You know what I mean? I like some of the consistency of the runs more than I thought I did. But we got to hit a couple big ones, right? And so we haven't done that. But yes, absolutely, having the fullback, having the tight ends, even just practicing against it. And we practice against it every week. You know, I think it just hardens your team. I mean, it's really, there's not many teams that have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Indiana does, and because I believe if your defense, all they do is defend the spread all day, every day in practice, when you face a tough team, and make no mistake now, Rutgers, Greg Schiano, Brett Bielema, those are tough people, and those are tough. We faced 3 straight teams with a defensive coordinator as a head coach. Like, you know, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to grind you, and you're going to be physical. But if your defense never sees it till game day or with the scout team, it's really hard to be a physical defense, right? So I feel bad for some of these guys, these defensive coordinators. They go play for an offensive head coach who's a play caller, and some guys can do it, and they get fired. And everyone's like, he can't. Well, you're not getting hardened, right? You're not getting. If you play in this program, you know, we might not ever beat, you know, top 10 in passing, you know, like, but we're gonna run power, and we're gonna run duo, and we're gonna run counter, and you're gonna see those things in practice. And so when you get to the game, it's never really a shock. And so. But yes, to your point, I think one of our major emphases this, you know, moving forward is just getting a little bit better in the run game. You know, fixing some of those things on special teams. We're making a lot of good plays on special teams, but the catastrophic plays are killing us. And you know, trying to fix 1 or 2 of those things and see if we can be a better team.
There were a couple moments on Saturday in college football where clock management just became a topic of discussion. In one case, or in an early game, a player could have gone down in bounds and ended the game essentially, but scored a touchdown. And then there was the USC game, the clock there. Obviously, at the end of the Ohio State-Oregon game, how do you look at clock management? Do you have a guru that helps you with that? Like, how do you navigate that? And has the philosophy around clock management changed?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say about clock management is just like we study it every week. We study every decision that was made. Sometimes the guys on TV, with all due respect to them, haven't done that. And they'll say, like, what? Like I remember we were playing the Packers, and we were down by 11, and we went down, and on second down, we kicked a field goal before the 2-minute warning, kicked it off, and I'm getting killed by the announcers. Just killed. Like, why would they do that? Meanwhile, the analytics community is like, this is brilliant. Finally, someone did this. Like, we kicked the ball through the end zone. Now with 2:06, they have the ball left. So it's like, you have to be careful what is bad clock management, right? And then you look at actual good clock management. Part of it is, do the coaches make the right decisions? And then do the players make the right decisions? Because like sometimes it's like, hey, we're going to run this play. You know, you got 6 seconds. Hey, get down. We have a timeout. Sometimes the things people don't even recognize, like at the end of the game on 3rd down, Dylan rolled left to try to throw the ball to Jacory on 3rd down. And he wasn't there. And so instead of throwing away, he took a sack. Now, it's a minus 16-yard sack. You don't really want that. But that's us saying, hey, if it's there, throw it. If not, take a knee. So the clock runs. They have to use a timeout. So it's all these little things sometimes that I don't think show up. But, yeah, Sean Patton, I had a guy at Carolina, Taylor Rajak, who was really, really excellent and really helped me learn a lot of, like, things as it relates to the 2-minute warning. And then that process now, you know, we use 2 outside services to help us. And then Sean puts together a tape every week. We show a tape to the guys every Thursday. You know, don't be dumb, and just showing like, hey, mistakes made throughout the week. And then I watch all the decisions people are making, right? And, you know, so sometimes I just say, you have to be careful. Like sometimes people will say like, oh, they should have used their timeouts there. Well, you know, right as the clock's running down to the 2-minute warning and you're behind, you can either use your timeouts before the 2-minute warning, or you can wait till the 2-minute warning and use them after. And there's merit for both. I just think, Sam, as long as you have a philosophy of this is why we do this, you know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes it's as simple as, oh, we can stop these guys, or man, we're struggling to stop these guys right now. Like those are 2 different things that, you know, like I go back to the Illinois game. Like a lot of people ask me like, why did you call timeouts when they had to punt, but then not run a play? Well, you know, I wasn't going to run a play from the 12. My hope was that the punt return would go into the end zone. We get the ball to the 25-yard line with 30 seconds, and hey, Dylan, let's go, right? But two drives before the ball. So it's all these little things that come into it. I think the best thing you can do is have a philosophy. And I like this stuff. That's why I talk so much about it, because this is, to me, is real football. Like, I like this, but I also think it's what do your players understand? Because in that situation, Dylan takes a sack. It looks ugly, but it's the right thing to do. You know, against UTEP, he throws the ball in the end zone with 8 seconds left, and we catch it with 1 second, so we would have had time to call timeout if it was in bounds. I think you have to prepare them. But as the season goes on, man, it's like you can't rep every situation every week. And so hopefully your guys have been schooled and taught. You know, we had a bad play last week against Rutgers where we ran out of bounds on 3rd and 22, right? And that's not on that player. That was 100% on me not making the communication of, hey, we call it a certain word, like, hey, stay in bounds. So I think it's real football. That's the great thing about the 2-minute timeout coming to college. The extra timeout adds all these layers of decision making that you have to make. Right? It used to be really simple. Now it's way harder, in my opinion. Which is good. And I could talk. I like reading about it. There's podcasts I listen to about it. It's pretty cool stuff.
Is Dylan sort of built that way like you? Have you found that he's ahead of the curve and sort of diving in deep into the clock management stuff and all those?
Yeah, Dylan dives into everything, bro. Dylan woke me up in my office this morning. He came in and banged, and I woke up that's him. Like he's here first thing in the morning. He's texting me. He's going away this week, and he's on the plane. He's like, hey, can you watch UCLA? He's watching the tape on the plane. Can you watch UCLA play 24? Like, he's just a whole other level. But at the end of the day, it just still comes down to being in the moment, and that's the hardest thing for all of us, right? Like, how often are you guys like watching a TV show but also have your phone out? Like, I have it all the time. It's a bad habit. Like being in the moment, and so in the moment, anticipating it, and then making the right decision. That's the secret sauce, and it's the difference between winning and losing, especially for a ball club like us. That everything's going to be close.
Fall asleep in your office?
Yeah, I went home and then couldn't sleep, so came back early. And the Garrett McGuires, the Corey, they come in at 4:30 and work out. I come in at 4:30 and watch film and just fell asleep. That's all.
Hey, can you speak to follow up on that question about Dylan, about the areas of what you've seen as far as him with his growth in areas away from what we see in 60 minutes of him playing?
You're saying, I'm sorry.
Can you? In what ways have you seen him grow off the field around the team?
Oh, I think his leadership and just the touch points he does in terms of getting around the guys. I think the confidence he has brought to guys, the belief. I think just something as simple as like Jacory's a young player. We're asking to play 3 different positions, and just him constantly getting with him and talking to him. I think those things are really good areas that he's been excellent at and improved at. I think he's done a great job. When you're that talented and you're having that much success, there's always going to be a ton of voices, saying, hey, you should do this, you should do that. And he's just very focused on, like, this is what I'm being asked to do here. I've been really, really pleased with all those things. And I think he's really good about, every week he tries to find 3 things to improve upon. And I always tell him, like, after every game, write down how it felt while you were playing. And then write down after you watch tape what you saw. Because sometimes those are 2 different things, right? Like sometimes we see ghosts out there in terms of, man, they're doing this, and then you watch the tape and build off of that journal. And I think he's so self-aware, and he's not afraid to be like, a lot of guys, man, they do not seek correction, and he wants to get corrected. He wants to be better, and it's a lot of fun coaching guys like that.
Tommy Hill plays this week. How does that impact the rest of the cornerback position? Most importantly, see our right.
Every corner you got versus this outfit, I mean, they got great wideouts, and they've got great run after catch guys. They can go get the fade. Really this quarterback is playing as well as any quarterback in the Big Ten when you watch him, if not the best. I mean, he sees the field. He knows what you're in. He gets to the right spot. So we'll probably need all those guys. Tony has different packages, but just even in the rotation, right? I mean, they've scored 80 points in the fourth quarter. That's just fantastic. I mean, 80 points in the fourth quarter alone. I think it's like 80-17. They haven't given up a first quarter point, I don't believe. So excellent defense with tremendous edge rushers and dynamic offense. So, we'll probably need to see here a lot. We'll need Tommy if he can go. Again, Tommy's still, I feel good about it, but it's not a done deal. Like, he's got to get through the whole week of practice. And last couple of weeks, I've told you I thought he was going to go. And just, for a corner, that's a tough injury now. To be, it's one thing to be a D lineman and play, 3/4 speed. It's another thing to be a corner.
Did you award any new black shirts over the bye week?
Yeah. Put Sierra in black because he's a starting corner right now. And the defensive guys came to me. They asked for Buschini to be in black. So we put Buschini in black.
Why did the defensive players want that? I assume they told you. Why did they want Buschini?
I think I think the way he's impacting the game defensively, right? I mean, I know I had talked to Jason Peter a couple of weeks ago and asked him how that worked, and he said, at the bowl game, those guys would always get it. And then I asked someone else, and they said Coach Riley, Coach Callahan did it once with a punter in the middle of the season. So I was kind of like, all right, well, I'll just stick with tradition. But I just think it's when the players, when Marquise Buford texted me at home, is like, Coach, we need Buschini in a black. I thought that was a tremendous message, whether it was the tackles at Purdue, or the game-saving tackles on the field goals, or just the punts he made last week. To get hit like that and come out there and not some guys get hurt and they come out and they finish the game. Like he accelerated. So, but again, I did it because it was from the players. You know, they feel like he's part of that unit. So let's roll.
How big was the buy just for special teams to maybe kind of evaluate things closer and get things cleaned up here?
Oh yeah, Coach Darlington was at practice. He had a folder for me. He was ready to rip me. You know, I really take a lot of responsibility. I'm serious. You know, some of the coaches I take a lot of responsibility for some of the things, special teams wise. You know, just early in the year, you know, trying to get some young kids, and you know, like just not putting enough of the guys who I know can make plays on the special teams, and whereas Ed's one of those guys, you know. So just kind of reevaluating that and seeing, hey, who can go out there and make plays for us, and getting some other players on the team, and then just kind of, you know, seeing where we had never shown. We've never really been in this situation before. We've never had like blocks in the past, and so here we are, and we've got 5 block kicks this year. You know, that's like heartbreaking. You know, and so again, having a chance to go back and just study what we're doing, right? But to me, it's the same as in the run game. So my foot's cramping up, so forgive me. It's the same as the run game. Like, hey, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well that we should just get rid of or fix? And then, you know, who are the guys who can make a play that we're not using? And just kind of really taking a deep dive at that. And, you know, you hope that while we're in year 3 and year 4 and year 5, you know, you have things established. You know, in year 2, you're still sort of like, you know, trying to figure out who can do what. I know that probably sounds hard for people to hear, but it just, guys grow fast, they go quickly, they get better. So yeah, I would expect us to play way better on special teams moving forward. I'm excited for it. And you know, had I thrown that fake punt on the first play, maybe that game would have been different, right? We knew it was there, so maybe it's a lesson for me to be a little bit more aggressive early on. But we'll need to steal a possession against Indiana. You know, there's too dynamic on offense, and so, you know, how do you do that? Sometimes you run down and knock a ball out. Their punt returner is excellent. You go back and watch them at James Madison, they block a ton of kicks. So, I mean, they're going to come after us. We're going to need some guys to step up and play well.
Thank you.
So